In this story, Earth suddenly enters the spiritual revival era. People begin researching spiritual energy, and some awaken superhuman abilities that turn them into heroes capable of fighting monster-like threats. Meanwhile, our MC, Shinji, lies writhing on the ground, stabbed in the stomach. He asks a girl named Ren what's going on, but Ren, fed up with his words, stabs him deeper, seemingly ensuring his death. Just then, a man named Uto arrives and asks, "Game, is it over?" Ren happily says that she was just waiting for this. Uto tells Shinji that he killed all his comrades too, and asks if he has any last words. Shinji calls him a scum and swears he will never forgive him. But Udo doesn't care. He kicks Shinji off a high ledge, where hungry monsters are waiting for him. As he falls, Shinji blames himself for the death of his party. With his last breath, he swears that if he is reincarnated, Ren and Uto will bury them both. Suddenly, the supreme martial arts system activates, threatening Shinji's life, and time begins to reverse. However, he lacks sufficient points. Therefore, the system tells him that the rewind point will be chosen at random. Seconds later, Shinji finds himself watching a football match and, shocked, asks, "Why am I not dead?" Then a system screen opens, revealing that his data has been loaded, and he can now choose any attribute. He realizes he's truly back. Have Shinji vows. "This time I'll show them their place." After quick calculations, Shinji realizes he's rewinded exactly 1 month before the spiritual energy explosion. At this time, no one in the world realizes that spiritual energy is slowly recovering. After this, humans and plants will begin to mutate, and those who eat the supreme great energy fruit will become superhumans. The weather will begin to change. Strange formations will appear in the sky, as if the world is awakening. Drawing power from this charged atmosphere, Shinji tries to strengthen himself. He arrogantly says, "1 month is enough. I will become unbeatable." Opening the system, he sees that it has 4 features: attribute development, point exchange, attribute skill addition, and daily missions. Have Shinji chooses the fire attribute for higher attack power. The system immediately tells him that he has received the purple fire attribute skill, called the Heavenly Fiery Crystal. Purple tier skills are the rarest and also give him 5 points. As soon as he touches the crystal, firepower begins to boil in his body. Shinji roars, thinking, "Now I can fight anyone. I will become strong." Just then, Temur Ren calls. She asks for 200 yuan. Shinji, irritated, asks, "Are you stupid?" and tells him to go ask Yuto for the money and never call her again. Inside the car, Ren is shocked and asks how he can talk to her like that, but she immediately tells him that she only cares about Yuto, not Shinji. Later, Shinji goes out into the bright sunshine and wishes he had reincarnated a few days earlier so he could have saved the person he's looking for. He's already checked 3 hospitals. In a flashback, Mecha tells him that her father fed her some suspicious health food, which broke her internal ice spiritual core. Standing in the present, Shinji says to himself, "This time, I will protect Mecha, including her spiritual energy." Meanwhile, the team of doctors is worried about Mika's condition. Her vitals are normal, but her body temperature is not rising. Her father, Matsumoto, begs Dr. Lee to save her. Lee checks her pulse and asks if Mika has traveled recently. Matsumoto explains. She says she went to Iceland last month and developed this condition a week later. The doctor says she has too much yin energy accumulated in her body and needs to be replaced with yang. He prescribes medication. As he leaves, Shinji enters the room. Everyone is stunned, wondering who this guy is. When they realize Shinji doesn't work at the hospital, they start to throw him out because unauthorized personnel are not allowed in this section. But Shinji tells Mr. Matsumoto that his daughter isn't sick, but rather has a rare ice-type spiritual energy. The energy awakens. He warns that if they interfere, his body will begin to break down and his future will be ruined. But the doctors force him out, thinking he's already seen too many manga recaps. Just then, Dr. Lee stops them and asks how Shinji knows about ice-type spiritual energy and who he is. Shinji says who he is? It doesn't matter. The point is how to awaken the girl. Dr. Lee asks if he has a solution. Shinji then uses ginger, aconite. He prescribes specific dosages of cinnamon bark and cotinopsis. Everyone is surprised, as it's the same prescription the doctor just gave them. They wonder how he knows Eastern medicine. Lee says his prescription is the same, but Shinji points out that one thing is missing: Stardew. Lee believes that Mika can awaken if they find Stardew, but Stardew flowers are nowhere to be found. Everyone else is shocked that Shinji's suggestion actually makes sense. Mr. Matsumoto asks the doctor how much Stardew costs. Will it? She's willing to pay any amount. The doctor explains that it can't be bought. The Stardew flower resembles a star, and its extract has healing powers. But Lee has only read about it in ancient texts. It existed when there was spiritual energy on Earth. Matsumoto is worried that his daughter will probably remain like this forever. But Shinji says he will heal Mika without leaving a single scar. Lee asks if he really has Stardew. Shinji smugly says yes. A doctor accuses Shinji of lying. He's talking and repeating the prescription. But Lee admits that this doesn't explain his knowledge of Stardew. Shinji actually bought Stardew with his points, but they don't know. Shinji tells the doctor to shut up and shows him the Stardew flower. Lee and the others are stunned that a child possesses the legendary medicine. Shinji asks if he now believes he can heal the girl. Lee immediately apologizes and begs him to heal Mika. Shinji Mika. He goes to Mika and vows to himself that he will never let her get hurt again. He places the flower on Mika, and her temperature begins to rise as Stardew releases its essence. Mika suddenly opens her eyes and asks who Shinji is, but he says, "Just rest and see you soon." Shinji tells Mr. Matsumoto that Mika has recovered and advises him to continue caring for her. Matsumoto thanks him profusely. Lee calls Shinji for a tea party, but Shinji says he's in a hurry. Lee asks for his name anyway, and he says, "Shinji, have Fuji Shinji." In the evening, Shinji finds the same cultivation website on his computer that he remembered from his past life. On the website, he sees different levels of cultivation, and remembers that in his previous life, he only reached level 3. He then focuses on cultivating the Brahma Inferno art, which is of a completely different level of power. He promises himself that he will reach the Supreme April level, the highest level. Meanwhile, Chairman Yan asks Dr. Havli if it is true that he saw a boy. He saw a man who possessed the Stardew flower and whose spiritual energy had awakened. Lee believes this to be true and says that this boy is a cultivation prodigy and could change the world if he grows. Chairman Yan immediately sends a girl to measure Shinji's strength and tells Lee that if it turns out to be true, it would be a great discovery. Meanwhile, Shinji awakens great power using the Violet secret art and reaches level 2 at his first training session. Shinji notices that he is dirty and thinks about avoiding bathing for just one day. But why? He goes out to get something to eat and heads to the nearest convenience store. As he walks, the girl from earlier watches him from above the streetlight, hoping he won't disappoint her. To test it, she throws a purple energy disc down, which lands behind Shinji and explodes. The explosion releases a monstrous wolf, and Shinji is delighted that the mutation has begun. The wolf growls at him, so Shinji shields his face from the stench and jumps back when the monster lunges at him. He dodges the monster. It attacks with its tail and hits Shinji's leg. Shinji steps back to create distance and prepares to roast the monster by forming flames in his hand. He uses a move called Flame Eruptor Fist to slam the monster into the ground. The impact causes the monster to bleed, leaving the girl watching in shock. After defeating the monster, Shinji calls it pathetic, saying it died in one hit. Growing hungry, he turns to eat it. The girl is amazed that this boy killed a mutant beast in one punch. She also thinks that he is a firefighter. How the attribute, which has the highest attack power, was awakened. She jumps down and examines the beast. She sees the tail broken and wonders how tough Shinji's body is. The next day, Shinji wakes up in pain and realizes his training is still long. In the living room, he receives news that an unprecedented high temperature has been recorded at the summit of Mount Shiranui, and an order has been issued to evacuate all climbers. Shinji remembers a past life. This is caused by the awakening of the fire attribute's spiritual energy, which he calls Impassion Fire. He takes this as an opportunity to absorb spiritual energy and quickly leaves. Outside, Ren comes and asks for 200 yuan. Shinji angrily tells him to get himself checked and stay away from her. Ren says he's doing this on purpose to get her attention, but if he pays her, she won't bother him. Shinji angrily chases him away. Police barriers are set up on the mountain, and people are being held back to avoid getting burned. Some idiots say the police are lying. A corn is thrown at him, and it instantly turns into popcorn. Everyone is stunned. Shinji, he is delighted to see that the fire attribute is abundant here, and wants to absorb it and reach a higher level. Despite police interference, he crosses the barrier. Opposites shout that he should return or else he will die. Shinji wonders if the fire attribute is really that strong. But as the absorption begins, he feels every cell in his body burning. Energy begins to fill him, and he promises himself to be strong in this life. People from afar see fire emanating from his eyes. Seeing his concentration increasing, he goes there. He jumps out. Suddenly, the temperature drops, leaving the police stunned. While people start taking videos, the officer wonders if the boy was really a god. At night, news comes that a mysterious boy was seen near the mountain summit, and that he stopped the extreme weather. Chairman Yan immediately orders that news about Mount Shiranui be suppressed to prevent panic. He then asks the girl if Shinji really defeated the mutant beast with one punch. She admits that she did, and the monster didn't even hurt her. The chairman believes that these two incidents are two different things. It seems to be the prodigy's job. He decides to recruit Shinji before the others. He sends the girl to meet him. Meanwhile, Shinji cultivates and is delighted to reach level 2, reaching the boundary of Bubbling Spring. Grants him an additional attribute slot and unlocks the magic infusion function, allowing him to permanently infuse his internal attributes into a weapon. He happily tries it out on a kitchen knife. Nux is at the door. Chairman Yan and the same girl have arrived. Chairman Yan. He apologizes and introduces himself as the president of the Spiritual Energy Training Association. He calls the girl Yu. They have come to discuss spiritual Kai cultivation. Shinji remembers that one of them saved his and Mika's lives in a past life, but he wants nothing to do with them in this life. He asks how they found them. The chairman explains that Dr. Lee told him about them while treating Mika Matsumoto. Shinji sees that they have no ill intentions and invites them in. Through their conversation, they understand that Shinji doesn't want to join them right now. Shinji says he doesn't like working in an organization and will think about it after training. Yu then reveals that she knows he has reached the boundary of spirit awakening at level 1, but he only achieved it by luck. Yu offers to guide him to Bubbling Spring. She warns that the world is about to undergo great changes and that no one will survive without spiritual chai. She explains that she herself tried but couldn't awaken for 3 years. It's been only a year since she joined the association. Shinji is shocked. He asks how old she is now, if it took her 3 years. Yes says 21. Shinji secretly thinks she's slow, but outwardly calls her a genius. Yue explains that everyone in the association is a genius. Chairman Yan reminds him that Shinji will receive a lot of support, but then he gets a call. He's told that a level 2 mutant beast has been spotted 30 kilometers away. A joint venomous snake. The chairman orders the area locked down and leaves with Ye. He leaves. Shinji can only say goodbye. After they leave, Shinji remembers that he swore that in this life he would not be weakened or suffer humiliation. His ability is currently at the beginner stage of Bubbling Spring, and progressing further will be difficult. He can find the fire attribute spiritual chai somewhere. Just then, his phone rings. A friend panics and says that his house is haunted. Shinji asks what that means. The friend explains that the mountain near his house has been thundering all day. Even though there is no rain, Shinji is shocked. He wonders if the rare lightning attribute spiritual kai has returned. Shinji asks his friend Katuz to explain everything. Katuz explains that the sky is dark, but the thunder doesn't stop. Shinji understands that it is lightning spiritual chi. Spiritual chai has 3 levels. The first common attributes, water, fire, wind, and earth. The second, rare attributes, ice, light, darkness, lightning, and the third legendary attribute, which includes void. Since Shinji has a new attribute slot, he sees an opportunity to obtain the lightning attribute. He immediately rushes over and he asks his friend to take him to the mountain and keep the others away. Meanwhile, a girl named Kari takes the 2 boys on their first mission. They ask her where they are going. Kari explains that powerful lightning spiritual chi has appeared on a mountain and they must recover it before it spreads. A short while later, Shinji arrives at the foot of the mountain and is excited to see the lightning spiritual energy. He selects the lightning attribute in his system, but the system tells him that it will take twice as much energy to absorb it. Shinji presses yes. The system gives him the blue lightning wind slash technique, and Shinji is stunned by its power. Meanwhile, Kovori and his men watch the lightning from a distance and ask if they can actually collect it and if it will come in a small container. Kovori tells them to be quiet, picks up the container, and begins to draw the lightning spiritual energy. The people are delighted by her skill. Suddenly, the container cracks, and Kovori panics. There is an explosion, and the container explodes. Mban jumps to her rescue. Kovori orders a retreat because the energy, it's spiraling out of control. Then they hear a voice behind them. Shinji is standing there. Shivori wonders what a civilian is doing here. She yells at him, telling him that this isn't a place for ordinary people and to leave immediately. But Shinji is extremely excited by the lightning spiritual energy. He ignores her warning and jumps into the lightning energy. His body collides with the lightning and begins to absorb it, and the others believe he's not human. Vori watches on. This boy is awakening the ultra-rare lightning attribute, lightning. She nearly defeats him, but Shinji declares that no one can bring him down, neither heaven nor earth. Shinji challenges lightning, absorbing all the energy and floating in the air. The system reveals that he has acquired both the fire and lightning attributes, and asks if he wants to fuse them into the legendary Thunderflame attribute. Shinji excitedly initiates the fusion. Upon completion, the fusion leaves him stunned. Meanwhile, an organization agent informs Yue that a white-jointed serpent has been spotted nearby, possibly poison attribute. Yu gives them the Jade Talesman and warns them not to be reckless. They enter the building and 2 red eyes are watching them from the ceiling. Snake attacks a man, but Yua pushes him away. The men throw daggers at Snake, and Yua freezes him. They cheer, but Yua realizes something is wrong, and tells them to run. Snake breaks through the ice and releases green gas. The men fall. Yue tries to report to headquarters, but collapses. Sometime later, Chairman Young talks to Shinji about his new attribute. He says he is the only hope for dealing with Snake. Looking at the picture, Shinji thinks that his old friend Hina Saku would have wanted this attribute, because Yue is unknown. The chairman asks Shinji for help and says that he has awakened the fire attribute. Shinji asks how the chairman knows this. He stammers that Yue told him because she saw Shinji fight the mutant dog. Shinji realizes that they were the ones who released the dog. He apologizes, saying it was necessary for public safety. Shinji finally agrees to go to the factory. At the factory, Yua finds Snake injured. He's absorbing something. He's probably evolving. Yua realizes they must purify him immediately or disaster will ensue. Snake attacks Yua. She counters with ice crystals, but Snake knocks him down. Yua realizes he's already evolved and will be difficult to stop. Snake approaches him. Just then, Shinji enters the factory and thinks, that's a strange coincidence. He used to work here after high school. Yue sees him and says, run. Snake is level 3. But Shinji doesn't listen and tells those who need to be saved to wait for reinforcements. Snake lunges at him, but Shinji covers himself with lightning and fire and says he will crush Snake in one strike. As Snake gets closer, Shinji punches him with his Thunderflame attribute, and Snake is thrown back several feet. Yo is stunned by this. Have Snake, understanding the situation, tries to run away, but Yue says, "Don't let this go." Shinji takes out his sword. It is imbued with the legendary Thunderflame. He rushes towards Snake and slices him to pieces like sushi. Yue is shocked that Shinji has awakened two attributes. Shinji believes that the association has good intentions and helps people. It's okay to tell him. Yu reports to the chairman, and the chairman understands that this is why Shinji stopped them from monitoring. Kaleshman says they have to include Shinji in the association. Yu asks if he should give up monitoring. The chairman laughs and asks, "It's said that Yoya doesn't think it's time to find a boyfriend." Sometime later, an association meeting is held, where some argue that the spiritual energy has returned and that it should be made public. Another group argues that this will cause chaos. The first group argues that an announcement and warning could have prevented the factory incident. As the argument escalates, Chairman Yan tells everyone to keep quiet. He admits the first man has a point. If he hadn't invited the boy, he would have lost his daughter, subordinate, and residence. Therefore, he suggests using locations where spiritual energy revival has been confirmed as testing grounds. The chairman suggests developing it as a tourist attraction and monitoring its impact on officials. Everyone agrees, agreeing to develop it as a tourist attraction and monitoring its impact on officials. Everyone agrees, agreeing to raise another issue. Shinji's abilities. He explains that he wants to invite Shinji into the Spiritual Energy Training Association and make him a squad leader. One member agrees to Shinji's inclusion, but feels it's unfair to immediately assign him such a high position. Another member says there will be discontent among the lower ranks. The chairman asks if they truly understand his power. He has awakened two attributes, thunder and fire. The chairman says that a person so powerful might become angry if placed in a lower rank, and they don't want to make an enemy of such a person. So one member suggests the chairman devise a test for him. The others agree that it would be better if Shinji demonstrates his potential as a squad leader. The chairman laughs and says, "Don't regret it later." The next morning, Shinji wakes up sleepy as usual and hears a noise, thinking that a thief has come. He opens the door and shouts, but outside, Yu is cleaning. She says good morning. Shinji is surprised, work to do. A little while later, the chairman addresses the members. They must forget about peaceful life and prepare to face the world of death. He explains that an advanced spiritual energy practitioner has been appointed captain. Mika stands in line, and Kavari thinks she hasn't seen the lightning boy again. She told her superior about the man with the divine light, but no one believed her. Next to her, Ken asks her what she's thinking. She says she's just wondering what the captain will be like. Ken assumes the captain is someone rich. Privileged kid will be there, and he'll rough him up so everyone knows who's the strongest. Kawari warns him not to cause trouble. Meanwhile, Yu shows Shinji his team. 5 members, 2 women, 3 men. Looking at the reports, Shinji notes that everything is fairly normal except for Mika's ice attribute. Yu tells him to pay special attention to Yoshiken. He was previously undercover and hates orders. As they approach, the chairman announces that their captain has arrived. Mika thinks that perhaps this is the person who threatened her life, if he had saved him. Kovri recognizes him as the boy wrapped in lightning. The chairman introduces Shinji, but Ken interrupts and asks if the chairman is sure this boy is capable. He says that if he turns out to be dead weight, no one will believe him. Shinji excitedly asks if Ken wants to test it. Ken proudly steps forward. Shinji asks if the bubbling spring-level garbage can take him on. Ken gets angry. Ken rushes to punch Shinji with his wind energy, but Shinji jokingly asks, "That's it." Before he can land a punch, Chairman Yan catches his arm in midair and asks if he intends to disobey the organization's orders. Kane apologizes. He wanted the new captain to prove his strength so that people would obey him. The others agree with Kane. The chairman says they've already seen Shinji's strength. He single-handedly killed Joint Snake and saved Yu. Kavori is stunned. Kane says Snake probably died from luck. The chairman sternly declares that anyone who disobeys orders will be expelled. It will be given. Everyone becomes silent. He explains the mission. They have to defeat a crutcher called Thorn Monster who roams freely in human form. He says that the world is safe. Let go of this illusion and learn to live with death. Reaching the forest, Shinji does not see any monster. He thinks that maybe it is underground. Mika asks whether to proceed further or the path is wrong. Shinji feels spiritual energy moving towards the giant tree, but there is no presence of any monster. For safety, he tells his companions not to go near the tree. He gives orders. He says to search the area and find clues related to the monster. The ladies obey and move forward. Ken asks if Shinji is afraid of the tree, and the other boys laugh. Shinji then warns them, if they disobey, they will be responsible for the consequences. Ken angrily approaches the tree with his friends. He is amazed by the tree's energy. He thinks that with training he can reach level 3, and even Yue will acknowledge him. He imagines the women of the association clinging to him. The 3 sit down in the cultivation area. Shinji. He leaves them there and moves on. While leaving, Mika asks if the boys will be okay. Shinji says they probably will be, but if something happens, he'll handle it. Kovori asks if they met a few days ago. Shinji says he doesn't remember. When she mentions Lightning Mountain, Shinji recognizes her and asks if she came there for a visit. Kovori explains that they were sent on an investigation, and she scolded him for hours because no one believed someone absorbed lightning spiritual energy. Shinji apologizes. In the future, he plans to train the ladies there. He says he's full of energy. Mika asks why he won't train on his own. Shinji says this energy doesn't match his attributes. They train just then, when a cry for help is heard. It turns out that Tree has started beating the boys. He's shaking on his own. One boy shouts that he doesn't want to die. Kane bravely jumps to his rescue and attacks Vine, but his blade has almost no effect. Tree's Vine then throws Kane into the air, leaving him in shock. As he falls to the ground, he remembers the chairman's words. Remembers that in the world of energy cultivation, death always accompanies him. Kane falls, wondering if the game is over for him. But then a bright light ignites the tree's vines. Shinji lands in front of him and shouts, "Run!" Kane stands up and says he won't abandon his comrades. Shinji acknowledges his guts. Kane says the worst person is the one who abandons his comrades. Then Shinji fills a knife with lightning flame energy and throws it at the vines, freeing a boy. The tree becomes furious, and Shinji saves the other boys. He also asks them to free him and move away. Just then an earthquake starts and everyone gets scared that the real monster will appear now. Tree transforms into a level 3 thunder monster. Everyone gets shocked, but Shinji reminds them that those who leave their training due to fear of death will not survive here. He wraps his body in thunder flame. The monster comes towards him. Shinji dodges every attack. As soon as he jumps in the air, the monster releases many vines. Shinji creates a fire barrier due to which the vines burn and fall. The monster's hand also gets burnt. In the next moment, lightning rips the monster's chest apart with a flame fist. The boys are shocked. Kaori can't believe the lightning attribute awakener can be so powerful. Mika remembers the heroes of novel. Maybe they're like that. Stunt is watching the battle on the organization's main system. Chairman Yan asks, does anyone object to his decision now? Everyone unanimously says no. As an earthquake occurs, Yu asks, is that what she's thinking? The chairman says yes, it can't be hidden anymore. Earth's spiritual energy is fully recovered. It's over. The world is about to turn upside down. In the forest, Shinji analyzes the thorn monster and remembers Mika's past life. But he is a water attribute user, while the thorn monster has a wood attribute. It doesn't make sense. Suddenly, a bright light emerges from the ground. Shinji understands. Now the ice attribute is emerging because the Earth's energy has returned. He remembers that in his past life, Mika was unable to absorb it properly. He breaks the ground, exposing an energy core. Mika is amazed that he dispersed the entire surrounding energy with one blow. Shinji tells her to go ahead and absorb the ice attribute. Mika agrees. Shinji wants them to grow stronger together in this life and avenge Seiju. He tells the others that Mika will train here. They must wait. Everyone celebrates when they return home. Mika advances directly from level 1 to Chi level 3. Mika admits that this happened because of the captain and everyone else. Ken apologizes for missing Shinji. Shinji says, don't worry, at least he didn't abandon his comrades. Ken's eyes fill with tears. The captain is saying such a nice thing. The three boys. They give the life pledge. Shinji feels awkward. Just then, an evacuation is announced. Soldiers arrive to evacuate. Shinji senses spiritual energy from a soldier and realizes he's a practitioner. Chairman Yan was overseeing the area. So, Shinji decides to observe for a while. Seeing the soldiers not moving, they point their guns at a boy. Kane gets angry, but Shinji stops him. 3 hours ago, the higher-ups were discussing spiritual energy recovery. The news of a mutant dog escaping comes up. The leader tells him he declares it a top priority. He assigns Kawasaki the responsibility of capturing the mutant dog. The east evacuation is ordered. During the evacuation, Kawasaki witnesses a fight between Ken and the soldier on camera. At the restaurant, Shinji tells Ken not to confront the military. Coming out, Shinji tells his teammates that an ominous energy burst occurred this afternoon. The world is about to become extremely dangerous. He reminds Mika not to give up training. Her spiritual sword is unstable, but it can become stronger. Just then, Kawasaki arrives and Shinji gives him the instructions. He recognizes her and calls her Keita. They are both delighted. Shinji introduces her to the team. Chori says they need to talk, and everyone leaves. Shinji learns that Kawasaki has now become a military officer. Kawasaki provides crucial information. The news of the spiritual energy global recovery has been officially suppressed. He explains that they have been sent here to capture a mutant dog. Shinji wonders if it is the same dog he encountered earlier. Then a soldier tells him that the civilians have been evacuated. Now they just have to wait for the dog. Shinji, the power of the military. He's interested in watching live. He asks Kawasaki if he can observe. Wakasabi says yes. This is a learning opportunity for Shinji. He asks Hayakawa to take Shinji to the observation area. In the observation area, Shinji sees that everyone has guns. Through spiritual energy sensing. He understands that most are Wakashin level 1 skilled people. Suddenly, an alarm sounds. A mutant dog appears. Soldiers surround it and fire bullets, but to no effect. The dog simply annoys him. He emits purple energy, and Shiji finds this strange. Kawasaki, realizing that the monster is about to evolve, he shouts, "Stop him now, or the entire unit will be wiped out." The troops attack but are blown away by the energy blast. Then the wolf evolves and grows spikes on its body. Kawasaki thinks this may be the end of them. He fights but loses and falls on rubble. The monster rushes towards him. Kawasaki wonders if this is the end of his life. Just as the monster's attack is about to land, a hand stops it. Shinji is standing there. Kawasaki blocks the monster's entire attack. With one hand, Shinji can't believe his eyes, but he stares at the monster and says, "You've laid hands on my friend. Now prepare to die." He electrocutes the monster, causing it to jump back in pain. Kawasaki, shocked, asks, "Was Shinji a cultivator from the beginning?" Shinji replies, "Let me finish this monster first." The soldiers are also shocked. A single blow damages the rank 4 mutant beast. Shinji readies his blade and charges at the monster. He charges a lightning bolt. The dog, frightened, tries to run, but Shinji's bolt rips through its back and lands in front of it. He takes it out. Soldiers take care of Kawasaki. He's stunned by Shinji's lightning cultivation. As soon as the dog weakens, Shinji infuses his blade with thunderflame power and cuts it in half. The soldiers are left wondering, the Earth's spiritual energy hasn't even arrived yet. And this man is so strong, what a monster he will become in the future. Kawasaki proudly says, "This is what I expected from my friend." Getting down, Shinji sees that his knife has disintegrated. Despite being military grade, he realizes he needs a weapon that can withstand his power. Kawasaki his strength. He praises him and tells the soldiers to clean up and sit with Shinji. A little while later, Kawasaki shows the mission video to his superior and says that Shinji is not just a friend, but a brother. The female officer says that if we get him, the military strength will skyrocket. She asks if they tried to recruit him. Kawasaki admits, yes. But Shinji is already part of the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. The superior, hearing this, says, "Okay, we'll negotiate directly with the association." Shinji comes home the next morning. Yu asks if he's involved in military operations. Did he join in? He says there was no plan. It was just that a friend was in danger. Yu explains that the Supreme Commander's granddaughter has been calling the chairman non-stop, and the chairman is crying and trying to hide everything. Yue says to be careful for a few days. Just then, Shinji gets a call from Kawasaki. But on the other end is Fuwa Nakashi, Kawasaki's superior. When he doesn't answer, Nakashi speaks up of a place where exceptionally strong fire attribute spiritual energy is being generated. Hearing this, Shinji becomes alert. He was struggling to increase fire spiritual energy. When they meet, Natsuki tells them that during night patrol, a fireball was seen at the construction site. Workers thought it was a spirit and called a medium, but the situation worsened. The entire site started burning. The military sealed off the area, but the fire didn't stop. Shinji asks if the fire is still spreading. Natsuki says yes, they are just evacuating people to reduce casualties. Suddenly, she asks if he is still interested in Ye. Shinji is shocked and says, "Don't talk such weird things." Yo is just monitoring her. Natsuki says, "There's no need to deny it so loudly." No. She then explains that building a cultivator military force after the spiritual energy revival is a national priority. The problem is that strong cultivators are mostly uncooperative and don't work in teams. But Kawasaki said Shinji isn't like that. Natsuki asks if he'll train the next generation of cultivators in the military. She says if he joins, he'll receive exceptional treatment. Shinji politely replies that he must first train new talents in the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. That's his priority. This intrigues Natsuki. She does this because it proves that Shinji is truly a man of principles. Upon arriving at the location, they see police stopping stubborn people from crossing the do not cross line. As they get out of the car, Ren, standing nearby with Yuto, asks, "What is Shinji doing here?" Shinji doesn't answer, so Yuto laughs and says that Shinji is following Ren around like a watchdog. Sensing tension, the press pans the camera towards them for some spicy drama. Yuo teases Shinji that he can't forget Ren, but he still remembers. He declares that he has no chance now. The crowd, forgetting their true purpose, gets caught up in the drama. Shinji can't imagine Ren and Yuto speaking such nonsense in public. Just then, Natsuki arrives to ask what happened, and the entire press suddenly focuses on her beauty. Yuto's mouth waters at the sight of her. Ren is nowhere near him. He immediately extends a handshake and comes to introduce himself, but Natsuki ignores him and asks Shinji, "Are these your friends?" Yu hangs in midair, and the crowd mocks him. Ren cannot tolerate this insult, and vows to make Natsuki regret it. Natsuki tells Shinji that site workers have confirmed the fire is spreading, and safety parameters must be increased. She takes him to a zone of highly concentrated fire attribute spiritual energy. She takes out a device, takes readings, and orders the parameters to be increased by another 10 kilometers. To her surprise, Shinji is rushing straight into the fire. The terrified soldier asks if she should stop him, but Natsuki is left thinking, have Shinji's going to control fire? Shinji approaches the fire energy. The system detects that strong fire attribute spiritual energy is available, and he selects Absorb. The flow of energy is so strong that Natsuki and the soldiers nearly close their eyes. Natsuki is stunned. How powerful is this man? Will he reach level 4 or level 5 anytime soon? Meanwhile, Shinji's fire attribute reaches level 2, and he receives a bonus draw. Upon drawing, the system reveals Jackpot. He receives the Eternal Secret. He gains Flame, a golden fire attribute technique. After training, he can store a massive fire attack within himself. Excited, Shinji draws in all the fire energy. Natsuki can't believe he absorbed it all alone. Once done, Natsuki runs over and asks if he's okay. He casually says, "Yeah, chill," and thanks her for bringing him here. She checks her device, but it sparks and explodes. Shinji quickly pulls her away from danger in his arms. Natsu decides to kill this man. She will make him hers at any cost. In the evening, she confirms that Shinji has indeed absorbed all of the fire attribute energy. What is his level? Shinji says that Yosan Realm must be level 4 and will soon reach level 5. Natsuki is shocked. She thought the level would be higher. Shinji explains that his cultivation method is a bit unique. He hesitates to elaborate, and Natsuki understands. Cultivators keep their secrets. She again proposes joining the military, saying that it would be better than the treatment association, but Shinji refuses. She agrees. Does have force won't do. Meanwhile, Yu receives a message from the chairman asking Shinji to handle the shadow subjugation mission. She warns him to be careful. Spiritual energy in the world has fully awakened. Next morning, Shinji arrives in the kitchen to the aroma of delicious food, thinking of Yue's cooking, but is stunned to find Natsuki on the sofa. She explains that using military procedures, she registered Shinji's home as a classified military site. Shinji, annoyed, asks why she asked him. Why not? And immediately goes to talk to Yua, but finds her room empty. Natsuki says that maybe Yua left after getting the news of his arrival. Just then, Shinji sees the mission file on the table. Shadow subjugation. He gets scared and thinks that Yua did not go alone. He runs to meet the chief. Meanwhile, Yua tries to escape from someone in the water, but she realizes that without Shinji, she is unable to do anything. She turns back and uses an ice attack, but then a huge fish comes to swallow her. She again uses ice. But the scream of the fish destabilizes her. She understands. The monster is sucking her spiritual energy. She tries to escape. The butt-joint octopus throws her into the water. Her mouth fills with blood. She thinks this is the end. Just then, lightning flashes in the water. Shinji arrives to save her. She says, "Run!" The monster is absorbing energy, but Shinji first takes Yo up and hands her over to Natsuki, who takes her to the hospital. At the hospital, the chairman thanks Shinji. He says that he saved Yue's life. Shinji asks about the mission. The chairman tells him this. The creature is called Shadow. They've been monitoring it for 6 months, back when there were fewer than 10 spiritual cultivators in the world. Shadow hid itself in dark energy, living in the ocean and absorbing the surroundings. Now, through spiritual search, it has become very powerful and will pose a threat to civilians. The chairman asks if Shinji will help. Shinji says yes, but at night, on a request, Natsuki talks to her grandfather and asks, "Why are you giving Shinji such a dangerous task?" The old man says this is his true trial for both themselves and the country, but Natsuki insists that the mission is too dangerous. She reminds him that the military had previously sent a small division. All the soldiers were level 3+. Yet, they still couldn't complete the mission. His grandfather explains that they have no choice and consoles Natsuki, saying he has assigned 3 elite soldiers to assist Shinji. He warns that due to recent global changes, they cannot lag behind other nations, or they risk invasion. The old man explains that the Shadow is the most dangerous of them all. He is in one of the dangerous locations, which he has classified as an A-rank zone. He believes that if they secure this A-rank hard zone, the country could gain global recognition. After a while, Natsuki thinks about Shinji and hopes he returns safely. Meanwhile, Shinji finds a new sword that he likes. He brings Mika along on the mission. Mika, confused, asks why she is the only one on the team. Shinji explains that she is the only one who has reached general level 3, and that it's important to ensure she's training consistently. She promises she won't slow him down, but Shinji tells her to calm down and tells her the military will provide backup. They arrive at the port, where some military personnel come to meet them. Seeing them arrive, a man says that the new generation of cultivators are very young. Shinji asks if they're from the military. The man, who reveals his name as Karaki, says, "I hope you won't slow us down." Hearing this, Mika becomes angry and asks if she even knows who they are. How strong is the commander? But the female officer immediately intervenes and apologizes for Karaki's sharp tongue. The third soldier ignores the entire argument and orders them to move forward. He tells Shinji Mika not to take their words to heart. Just do your job. Soon they get underwater. While swimming, Karaki feels something draining his spiritual energy from within. His companions recognize that this is the dangerous effect of the dark attribute. At that moment, Mika tells him that the captain is feeling nauseous because of the smell here. It's very bad. Shinji creates a barrier with lightning energy, so that the dark energy doesn't affect them. Karaki looks back to see if Shinji and Mika are trembling with fear, but is shocked to find that both are completely unaffected. Karaki thinks that perhaps they are putting all their energy into the block and will not be able to react when the danger comes. Suddenly, something passes by everyone very fast. Mika, a mutant fish monster, is ready to fight, but Shinji stops them and says, "Observe first. This is not a real body." Karaki rushes and punches the monster and smugly says, "Don't space out." But Mika explains it was an illusion. Karaki doesn't believe it. And while the debate is ongoing, the real octopus monster launches tentacles and surrounds the soldiers. Dark influence overwhelms them, and the female soldier can't believe a Yosan level 5 creature is present. Mika attacks with her frozen hands and walls, but Karaki says, "Are you crazy? This monster is out of your league." But Mika presses forward, determined to prove herself worthy of a captain. With one strike, she shatters the frozen tentacles, and the monster appears to freeze as well. She is delighted. The monster immediately rematerializes and attacks the soldiers. The monster goes to kill Mika, but she protects herself with an ice shell, which the monster shatters. She considers dying. Shinji then appears beside her. He praises her efforts and stops the tentacles with his embedded sword. The others are shocked that she stopped the tentacle attack. The blonde soldier is stunned by the power of Shinji's fire attribute. Shinji decides to take revenge on this octopus for its previous attack on Yue. He activates his new golden arts and dashes to stab monster through the head with his sword. Karaki yells, "This is stupid. The mere stab won't damage the Yosen 5. But Shinji activates the eternal sacred fire technique and infuses power into the sod, causing golden flames to erupt, and the octopus glows like Christmas lights. Monster screams in pain. Karaki can't understand what kind of power this is. He remembers what the Supreme Commander had said. The commander had said trainees should be strong, but in front of Shinji, they are like infants. In the present, Karaki is shocked. Is Shinji even human? He thinks that if he receives military training, his growth will be terrifying. He also sees that Mika is also working in danger and has reached babbling level 3. Suddenly, his comrades wake him up. He had passed out. Karaki says that he is fine. Later, he will apologize to both of them and invite them for a drink. Later, he thanks Shinji and apologizes for his rudeness. Shinji says that he does not care because he knows that Kara is worried. It was because of this. Later, everyone leaves. But Shinji decides to stay. He swims back down and finds 2-star dew flowers. This convinces him that both Mika and Yue's abilities will increase. When he returns, he doesn't find the team, but a military officer stops him. Shinji is shocked. He hadn't even sensed his presence. The officer reveals his name to be Kidolite. He is Lady Natsuki's assistant. He gives his card and says that he was on a mission for the past few days, so he couldn't come to meet them. He says if Natsuki bothers you, let me know. Shinji thinks this is probably Natsuki's bodyguard. Has his level reached Iron Vein state? He asks what he needs and where Mika is. Kido tells him that Mika and everyone else have been sent home, and he stayed here because the Supreme Commander wants to meet them. Shinji is shocked to hear this. He gets in his car and arrives at the base. At the entrance, he sees an old man and asks, "Are you Supreme Commander Fua?" The commander says, "Yes. I told my grandfather about you." He heard from daughter. He calls him in and tells him that Natsuki told him that Shinji can store fire energy in his body. This doesn't surprise the commander, given the state of the world. He says that the emergence of such a powerhouse is a miracle. Shinji humbly says that he was just lucky. The commander is pleased with his composure and understands why Natsuki was impressed. The commander explains that the world is in a period of transformation, and normal people are unable to adapt. Darkness is the most troublesome energy. It turns living beings into mindless monsters. Lightning energy is its most effective counter. Therefore, he wants Shinji to become stronger as quickly as possible, for his own sake and for the sake of his country. Shinji promises to increase his training. The commander gives him a military-exclusive phone so he can contact him directly if needed. Shinji musters up courage and requests it. He shows the commander the sword made by Yan, which is now cracked. The commander is astonished. Even such a legendary sword could not withstand Shinji's energy. Still, he asks Shinji to leave the sword with him, so that he can use it for him. He could create even stronger weapons. As Shinji leaves, he receives a call from Chairman Yan informing him that Yue is in trouble. Meanwhile, Yue's heart rate drops, and doctors rush to remove the elemental orb from his body. One doctor says that he has been in a coma for a long time, and if they forcibly remove the spiritual energy, his body will lose control. Another asks if they are just waiting for him to die. The chairman is upset outside, blaming himself. Suddenly, Shinji arrives and asks what happened to you. What is the condition, and how did this happen when she was previously stable? The chairman, confused, asks her if she knows the properties of dark attribute energy. Shinji recalls that dark energy saps the minds of living beings. The chairman nods and says that Yu has always been strong, but Shinji saved her. After that, she began to doubt her abilities, and that's why she went on the mission without informing him. The chairman blames himself, saying that if he had known, he would have sent them together. Shinji immediately summons his system. He asks if there's any way to save Yao. The system says to make contact with her body so they can scan it. Shinji enters the surgery room. The doctors stop him, saying it's an emergency. But Shinji pushes them away, saying, "Don't act tough when you can't save her." He holds Yue's hand and tells the system to save her. The doctors shout that holding hands won't do anything and call security. Then Chairman Yan says he's given Shinji permission to come in. Everyone falls silent. Doctors try to explain that. We must treat her wound immediately, but the chairman says, let Shinji try. The system finally reveals a treatment method. A Stardew flower must be inserted into Yue's body and injected with lightning energy. Shinji immediately tells the chairman that he has found a method, but he needs the theater empty. The doctors don't like this, so Shinji covers his body with lightning energy, saying he can't guarantee their safety. The chairman gives the order. Everyone gets out. Shinji takes the Stardew flower. He grinds it and feeds it to Yu. As the flower's effect begins, lightning energy spreads through her body, and Shinji promises to bring her back to life. Hours later, Yu awakens to find Shinji beside her. Shinji is happy that she's awake and tells her not to act so recklessly. Confused, she asks if he saved her. Shinji explains that he was lucky to have found 2 Stardew flowers underwater, otherwise she wouldn't have survived. Ye thinks she might consider him a burden. Shinji asks why she would think so. He explains. He claims that Yua is extremely strong, as she is at Spring Source level 3, and there aren't many fighters of that level in the world. Yua still insists that she's weaker than him. Shinji laughs and says, don't be stubborn, you're not weak. I'm stronger. He then asks, have you ever seen anyone stronger than me? Yu understands that he's right. Later, Shinji leaves and tells them to meet at Outskirts Forest the day after tomorrow morning for rehab training. 2 days later, Yua easily defeats a mutant monster, which Shinji says is amazing. Offer. The Spring Source was at the highest level, level 3, and she defeated it in 1 hit. Shinji thinks she might have reached level 4, but Yue says, don't flatter me, I know my strength. Just then, an explosion is heard and an announcement is made about a surge of strong dark energy. Shinji also senses violent fire energy within the forest. Meanwhile, some people are camping in the forest. Yuto tells Ren that he will catch a big fish later and grill it. Disgusted, Ren refuses and asks Koyuki to help. She leaves. Yuto's friends ask Ren why he's upset. He says he saw a stunning beauty a few days ago. The others assume Yuto must be staring at a girl. Yuto assumes the girl was incredibly beautiful. The new boys are also curious to see her. They don't realize their girlfriends are listening in. They drag them away. Yuto goes to collect wood and sees a flower imbued with dark energy. In a flashback, Ren heard news that Earth had entered the Chi Restoration era. In the present, Yuto. He believes this flower has the power to become king and get that hot girl. He thinks it will even defeat Shinji on the spot and humiliate him in front of Nasuki. He eats the flower. Dark energy spreads through his body and destructive power excites him. Suddenly, he hears a call for help. The camp is attacked by mutant beasts. Yuto appears and blows away the wolves with 1 kick. Ren, frightened, says it's dangerous, but Yuto says that to him, they're all insects. Ren doesn't understand. How did Yuto become so strong? Can humans really wield such power? Yuto's male friends believe this is the same cultivation that was reported on the news. Ren thinks a man this strong is just what she needs. Meanwhile, Shinji warns Yua that the dark attribute is approaching. The two jump onto a ledge and hide. Mutant wolves run nearby. Yu asks what happened to these wolves. Shinji, seeing their wounds, realizes they are tainted with dark chi. Yu asks to report. Shinji says they should first assess the situation so that deployment can be decided. Before that, he appears to stop the wolves. He had promised Commander Fua that the mutants would not harm civilians. He immediately burns them with lightning energy. They move further into the forest and see signs of a camp. Just then, Yuto jumps out to attack Shinji. Yu immediately creates an ice barrier. Yuto thinks this girl is hot too. He asks if they can go for a drink. Ya demands that she reveal who she is and why she attacked Shinji. He says he has an old feud with Shinji. He just came to teach him a lesson. Yua laughs and asks, could this weakling attack hurt Shinji? Shinji asks, did you try to become a cultivator by consuming any elemental energy? Yua admits, yes, and that he isn't a fully trained cultivator. Shinji understands that he was the one who attacked the wolves. He says that if they had reached the city, many people would have died. Yuto says that the lives of weaklings don't matter. He's a cultivator. Hearing this, Yua becomes angry. Shinji understands that this man he will understand not only with his mouth but also with his punches. Yuto gets excited and gets ready to fight. His body releases dark energy. Shinji detects that he has the power of mutation level 2. He is surprised that a fruit can cause such evolution. Yuto turns with lightning speed and comes to kick him from behind, but Shinji blocks it. Yuto sarcastically praises his skill, but Shinji asks, is this your full power? Yuto starts pummeling in anger, but Shinji blocks every attack. Yuto gets shocked. Shinji tells him that he's too weak and out of his league. The fight begins to turn right there. Shinji punches him hard in the face, knocking him out in 1 blow. His friends immediately rush to see if he's okay. Ren is astonished at how Shinji became so strong and begins to regret breaking up with him. Shinji immediately orders Yuto to round up the entire group and investigate if there are more like him. Yu immediately asks the chairman to seal the mountain. Meanwhile, Yuto can't believe he's even met Shinji. Defeated, a mysterious being suddenly appears and asks if he wants power. In an instant, Yuto finds himself in the throne room of a dark being who asks him, Do you want true power? Yuto admits that he wants overpowering power and is willing to pay any price to crush Shinji. Just then, the dark being fills his mind with dark energy, and Yuto trembles with joy. This is the power he wanted. In the real world, Yua tells the group that they will act on the orders of the Cultivation Association, powerful dark energy that throws his friends back. Shinji immediately pulls Yua to safety, as Yuto's energy destroys even the surrounding plants, begins to drain the life force of his friends, and Shinji realizes that General K's prophecy was true. Just then, a mysterious dark being appears, delighted that he has finally returned to this energy-filled world. Yu sees Yuto's power jump from Wellspring level 2 to level 4 in an instant. Shinji warns him he might now have Yuto is gone. Just then, the system informs Shinji that the Dark Monarch, a primary Dark-type monster, has been detected. Shinji receives an emergency mission: defeat the Dark Monarch and receive a new spiritual energy attribute slot. Shinji realizes that he hasn't seen such a monster in his past life, so its attacks are unknown. The monster complains that the weaklings it consumed were useless, so it hasn't fully manifested. However, it realizes that Shinji and Yua have extremely strong chi in their bodies, and that it can take them, but his power can be absolute. Thinking Yu is weak, he targets him first and fires a dark arrow. However, Shinji instantly destroys him with Thunder Flame. The Dark Monarch thinks it was just luck. Shinji asks him, "Who are you, and where is Yu?" Monarch replies that the time to know this has not yet come, and he must choose between submitting or dying. Shinji understands that discussion is pointless. Monarch laughs that a man wants to reason with him and decides to unleash his ultimate darkness. He releases a dark cloud that envelops Shinji. Yue launches an ice attack, but the cloud doesn't break. The monster tells them to accept their fate, but then Shinji reaches out from inside the cloud and rips it apart. Shinji emerges and asks, "Is this your full power?" The Dark Monarch, enraged, calls him a foolish brat and attacks. Yu offers to help, but Shinji stops him. This is his chance to test his full power. He activates the Thunder Flame shield, grabs the monster's face, and unleashes a blast of thunder flames, sending the monster flying several feet into a rock. He leaves. The Dark Monk is shocked that a human threw him like that. Shinji taunts him. "Are you scared?" The monker gets furious and tries to hit him with the Dark Wave, but Shinji blocks the attack with one hand. The monker understands that this is not a game. Shinji asks, "Are you scared now?" The monker understands that this human is more powerful than him, and starts running away in fear, hoping to return after eating more humans and increasing his power. But Shinji doesn't let him escape. He fires a lightning strike that shakes the monker's body and he explodes, but a dark bat flies out of it. The Dark Monarch has left his body to defend himself. Shinji returns. Yu asks if he's okay. He says to call the chairman immediately. Part of the monster has escaped. That evening, a weather warning is issued, and people are told to stay indoors. Girl on the street complains, but suddenly a dark bat pounces on her. Shinji knocks it down with lightning and tells the girl to run home. More dark bats appear in the sky, and Shinji rescues the girl. He warns her that staying outside is dangerous. She is captivated by his presence. However, Shinji ignores him and answers Yu's call. Yu explains that the Dark Monarch's remnants have transformed into countless bats and are attacking civilians. They are evolving by feeding on human spiritual energy and have now reached level 2. Shinji understands that if they revive Dark Monarch at level 3, the situation will be dire. Meanwhile, Natsuki tries to stop the panic spreading online. The military is also present in Amami City due to road blockades. She can't get in. That's all Natsuki thinks about. Shinji is safe. Shinji and UHQ return, and he confirms that his team is safe. Mika and Kiori were training. Ken and his brother encountered the bats, but survived. They are called to a meeting. The chairman gives the signal, and Commander Fua explains the Amami City rescue operation. All main roads are blocked by bats. Massive energy has been read at the Southeast Civic Hall. Perhaps the same main bat is controlling the mutants. Kawari is frightened. Ken notices. The commander explains the plan from the East Highway. The military will make an entry. Citizens will be evacuated, and heavy bombs will suppress the area. The Cultivators Association will have to reach the Civic Hall via a different route and assist. They calculate that the entire operation must be completed within 50 minutes to prevent the creatures in the Civic Hall from completing their evolution and becoming uncontrollable. The commander asks, "Any questions?" Kyrie nervously asks if the military can't reach the Civic Hall in time. The commander explains that they won't extend the timeline. The bombs will be deployed at the designated time, and the monsters will be destroyed within that time limit. We must eliminate them. Hearing this, Kari is shocked because this will endanger the citizens. If the Dark Attribute creature evolves, not just Amami City, but the entire country will be at risk. When Kari starts asking another question, the commander asks her, "Does your family live near the Civic Hall?" She admits that her family lives right next door. After a few moments of silence, Mika assures her that she will save her family because Shinji has given her special training and her skills have improved significantly. Ken joins in, saying he'll send his brother to pick up his family in a car. The commander then announces that Kari will have to sit out the operation. Shocked, Kari asks why. Fua explains that those whose emotions could affect the mission cannot participate. The commander immediately asks Chairman Yanagi to revise personal assignments. The chairman is hesitant. Shinji then tells the commander to stop because there's a critical flaw in his plan. The commander asks what flaw. Shinji explains that only emanation won't damage the monster, and everyone is shocked. They leave. The commander asks, how do you know? Shinji casually explains that he had just recently seriously injured the monster. He suggests abandoning the Supreme Commander's plan and adopting his own. The commander asks him about his plan. Shinji reminds him that he had asked him to prepare a weapon a few days earlier. Shinji says that he will use that weapon to kill the monster by slicing it. Meanwhile, Natsuki and the military team arrive at the highway entrance to Amami City. Outside the tunnel, Natsuki checks the energy levels with the device and confirms that she tells Shinji that she needs to deliver the sword to Shinji so he can save the city's citizens. The commander orders all forces to begin the operation over communication. The city is entered from the East Highway and the endpoint is Amami City Civic Hall. The objective is clear: deliver the sword to the Civic Hall. 5 platoons will carry out this mission. The teams enter the tunnel and fire non-stop at the bats. Some soldiers are injured in the bat attack. However, Natsuki gives everyone the follow me signal and tells them to exit with determination. Meanwhile, Shinji kills several bats with lightning. He continues vaporizing, wishing he had stopped the monster in the forest itself. Behind him, Mika and Ua use their powers to clear the remaining bats. Yun becomes worried because the bats are multiplying rapidly. They are growing by absorbing people's spiritual energy. Mika fears that if they merge, it will become a dangerous monster. Shinji reassures them that they couldn't stop it in the forest, and they won't be able to stop it now either. Shinji tells them to prioritize reaching the Civic Hall and meeting Natsuki. Meanwhile, Natsuki and some of his men are there. They emerge from the tunnel in battered condition. Upon emerging, Yuto appears among the bats and calls Natsuki gorgeous, calling her his own. Natsuki is stunned that he's the one causing so much destruction in the city. She tells him to stop killing people like trash and kicks him in the face, but it doesn't work. Yuto explains that the cultivators are a feast for him. The Dark Monarch speaks from his body, saying they will all be his nourishment. Suddenly, an ice attack forces him to retreat. Tokido has arrived, Dark Monarch sensing. He learns that Tokido has reached level 5 and becomes excited. By devolving him, he can evolve beyond his peak. Tokido tells Natsuki to run to Shinji. She moves forward with her team. Monarch tries to stop her, but Tokido creates an ice wall to block their path. On the way, Natsuki's team encounters bats. Normal ammunition does not affect the evolved bats. Some soldiers fall, and she prays for the weapon to reach them. At that moment, a bat comes after her, but it gets roasted. He leaves because Shinji has arrived. Natsuki is relieved to see him, and Shinji puts his hand on her head and tells her not to worry. She shows him the sword his grandfather sent. Shinji tells the soldiers to retreat and charges the Thunderflame sword. He performs the cross-slash move. All the bats above are destroyed in a single strike. The soldiers are stunned. But this is exactly what Kasaki expected. Impressed, Natsuki asks him to teach her the technique. Shinji says he must first reach key level 4. Shinji confirms. Only these soldiers were able to break through. The rest became casualties. Natsuki reveals that Tokido is currently fighting Yuto and asks Shinji to go there. Shinji is surprised that Yuto hasn't been completely swallowed by the dark monster. Perhaps he has been revived. Meanwhile, Tokido confronts the monster, who teases him that his spiritual energy is draining. Tokido notices that the bats are evolving by absorbing the energy of their dead comrades. Some have even reached level 3. He creates an ice shield to stop the next wave, but the bats, they break it and injure him. Monarch laughs and asks, "Are you scared?" Tokido throws an ice stone, but Monarch swallows it. Monarch explains that he has reached his prime by absorbing Tokido's trump card. Now he will give him a return gift. He fires a dark energy blast. Seeing the attack coming, Tokido could only say, "I'm sorry," as if addressing Natsuki from a distance. But before the blast reaches him, Shinji jumps in and stops the attack. Tokido shouts to move away. It is a full-force Unan level 4 strike, but Shinji ignores him. With one hand, he dissolves it into Thunderflame. Tokido is the stunt. He asks if the young lady is safe. Shinji says calmly, she is busy cleaning the bat. He tells Tokido, "Come join us. I'll finish this off." As Tokido leaves, Shinji asks Dark Monarch if he will reveal who he really is before he dies. Monarch says, "I am Yuto." Shinji tells him to finish him off right there. If he lies and says, "There's no need to be afraid," it'll take a moment. Monarch asks if Shinji really thinks he's still alive. Is it on the forest level? He promises to show the true power of his peak. Monarch unleashes a heavy strike. But Shinji doesn't even flinch and asks, "Enough." He rips the attack with his sword, almost cutting Monarch, who has to transform into several bats to escape. Shinji asks, "Is that all?" And the bats suddenly scatter in the sky above. Yu asks Mika if she can also feel the energy rising from the black cloud. It seems the bats have been ordered to gather around the black cloud. Meanwhile, Natsuki is working on her device. She sees dangerously high readings. She explains that the thing in the sky matches the super mutant level. This is shocking because abnormals are tracking minor monsters. Caution level is a mild threat. High danger is city-level damage. Have super mutants can destroy entire cities and require top cultivators. Panic level endangers entire nations, and world annihilation threatens the entire Earth. Despite this, Natsuki tells herself that Shinji will definitely return. She tells Yui to call Chairman Yanagi and ask for reinforcements. She decides to call for backup herself. At the military base, they can't contact Second Squad and wonder if the bats are blocking communications. Supreme Commander Fu worries whether Natsuki and the others manage to break through. On the screens, they see all the bats gathering in one place. When communications return, they ask Toy what's happening. Captain Timid explains that they've encountered a massive swarm. All are considered level 2 and are under attack. Just then, the sky begins to clear. Have second and third squads also arrive. The same report comes in. The commander asks to tally the death count. Just then, he receives a call from Natsuki. She informs him that a super mutant level monster is about to appear. Shocked, the commander asks if she understands what she's saying. She admits that the bats have transferred all their spiritual energy to the super mutant at the center. A soldier, overhearing, concludes that Amami is now dead because only a level 5 cultivator or higher can handle her. The commander, saddened, apologizes to Natsuki. There's no other way. He orders all units to mass. He orders the preparation of destruction weapons to stop the monster at any cost. One man suggests saving Lady Natsuki first, but the commander says, "We are soldiers, citizens first." Just as he is about to deploy the bombs, Shinji speaks over the comms. Everyone is shocked to see him alive. Shinji says, "There's no need for bombs. He will destroy the super mutants himself." The soldiers panic, but Shinji calmly says, "He has reason." There, Ken tells a commander, if he saves both Amami City and his granddaughter, if you want to save him, cooperate with his plan. A few moments later, the commander asks what to do. Shinji says the military should bear the cost of everything damaged in this battle. Meanwhile, the Dark Monarch completes his evolution. He has reached peak level 5 and feels invincible. He says Shinji will regret not being able to destroy him in the forest. But Shinji stands unfazed. The monk releases a giant bat with a move called Jaunt Shadownet. But shockingly, Shinji cuts it in two in an instant with a lightning strike. People at the military base are stunned. The commander feels Shinji has exceeded expectations by using the legendary lightning attribute. Buses are evacuating the city. People, seeing the lightning blast, ask if a cultivator can use so much power. Mika and Yua also watch from afar. Yua realizes Shinji has been hiding his true power, and even after reaching level 4, he's nowhere near it. Natsuki watches all this from afar and feels proud. Shinji is the man she trusted. On the battlefield, Shinji says, "Now it's my turn." Monarch fires a dark energy blast at him, but Shinji blocks it with a sword and releases the Mountain River Slash. A massive slash forms, enveloping Monarch. Monarch forms a shield, but the shield breaks and he is consumed by the destructive energy. Panicked, he tries to grab Shinji with his dark tentacles, but Shinji is too fast and dodges all the tentacles. Angrily, Monarch says, if it weren't for this stupid sword, he would have killed him already. Intrigued, Shinji puts away the sword. He says, "Okay, let's fight without the sword." Monarch immediately throws a dark blast. The strike bounces off Shinji's head. Monarch goes crazy. This was a full strike, level 5 peak. Hei fears whether Shinji is above level 6. Shinji calmly tells him that if this is his full power, then this is the end for him. He withdraws his sword, and Monarch panics and runs away, wanting to evolve to level 67. But Shinji promises not to let him escape again. He performs the downward slash technique. Straight. A slash through the monster's back pierces its chest, blowing it to pieces. The explosion sends the entire base into celebration. The super mutated monster is down, and Shinji's lightning has become humanity's hope. The commander immediately dispatches the injured to rescue them. A few days later, Chairman Yanagi thanks Shinji for saving the city and asks if he wants a reward. Shinji says, "Yes, I have a request." He points to the ladies sitting in the house and says, "Send them away. They have been staying at his house for several days and are his..." It's ruining the routine.